mental approach, the focus and effort and kind of all that stuff. If for you, from what you're seeing, how does that manifest? Can you tell it shoot around like groups feeling a little off today, or can you kind of shed any light on that?
Totally, you can totally tell. In the NBA, you just don't exert a lot of physical energy when you're not playing games and practice and stuff. You don't practice very long, but you got to have that mental edge, that that focus when you're in the gym mentally, and it's pretty easy to tell, whether you're locked in or you're not, by about 5 minutes into shoot around. So that's kind of our main goal, our main focus going in the next couple of weeks is just really like locking in our mental edge, because we're plenty physically talented. We have enough skill on this team to win. It's just making sure we're dialed in, all 48 minutes.
I know you might not have your like NBA or your game day routine like totally down yet, but when you feel like if you feel okay, that wasn't my best shoot around, best focus, how do you correct that before the game? What do you do to kind of get yourself in the right place?
Yeah, I usually try to get more rest, whether that's the night before or taking a longer nap. I mean, I always nap before games, but it's a little bit different, trying to rest a little bit longer. And it's kind of just what I do before games, whether I'm kind of out and about or I'm just laying on the couch, like trying to visualize. And I do a lot of visualization too, just of like where I need to be in certain spots, shot ball going through the rim, making plays on defense, that kind of stuff too helps.
Now that you've kind of got a good chunk of games under your belt, what is the coaching staff wanting you to focus on? What's kind of been the
Yeah, I mean, things are still kind of coming at me fast. I mean, it's not that the game hasn't completely slowed down for me yet, but being more dialed into the scouting report, as you've seen for the last, our 8 games, like I get spot minutes, and when I come in, I got to be really good. So, I got to make sure that I'm focused, whether I'm the last man sitting on the bench or that I'm checked in at the table. I got to make sure that, if I get in the game, I know exactly what we're doing, the personnel, and that's kind of the challenge of being a role player in the league. But every good role player can tell you, exactly what that kind of means for them.
What do you think about the opportunity you have right now with Unseld, and what's kind of the key to making the most of it beyond the obvious, which is just making these?
Yeah. I mean, outside of the ball going through the hoop, it's what I touched on earlier. making sure I'm coming on the floor and doing everything I can to help the team, gain a lead or make up a difference while I'm in. Even with DB out, I'm not going to play more than 20, 25 minutes in a game. I'm not going to start. So I got to be able to make sure I come in and be ready to go from the jump. And I can't skip a beat when I hop in that game. And it's getting easier to figure that out for me. With more games, it'll get better. But yeah, it's a challenge, and it's something I'm getting better at, and I'm starting to really enjoy too.
A couple of firsts for you recently, first 3, also your first technical foul.
Yeah.
What was that like? Pretty
surprised. Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I mean, I've gotten texts before, but never in the league. So, I mean, might as well get that one under my belt earlier rather than later, I guess.
And obviously, there's quite a few Gonzaga players in the league. It's going to become old hat soon, but you are playing Brandon Clark. I know he was your teammate with the Zags. Just what do you think that will be?
Oh, it'll be fun, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting those guys into town. Killian Tilly plays in Memphis too, and he's one of my best friends. And so I'm looking forward to seeing those guys and catching up and kind of checking on them and how they're doing. It's a bond that runs deeper than just basketball. So those guys are my brothers, and I'm excited to have them into town.
Hey, how do you think Gonzaga and Coach Few prepared you guys for the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch our games, they're like the most kind of NBA. We're the most NBA-like team, really, in college. Just the way that we run and push the ball on the offense, we kind of run. So I'm able to understand concepts, maybe understand spacing, and without getting super technical into the basketball parts of it, you just learn how to be a pro. You learn how to work. You take care of your own business. A coach expects you to be doing more than just what you do on the practice floor. And, all that stuff is easy carryover into the NBA. And it's made my transition much easier.
Do you keep in touch with Coach Few?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I do.
Does he give you notes or?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, he's focused on leading his own team. So, I mean, he checks in with me, asks me how I'm doing, and just kind of asks questions about how, the Wizards are using me. And, he's becoming less and less of a coach and more of like a mentor and a friend, as I left the program.
What's some of the best advice you received from your teammates?
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's you got to create your own rhythm. And what that means is like I touched on it earlier. Like I could be sitting on the bench for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, boom, Corey, you're in. And a minute into the game, ball finds me in the corner, and I'm shooting a three, fresh off the bench. Like you have to be able to create your own rhythm, whether that's being locked in and dialed in while you're on the bench, doing like warm ups or trying to like stay active while you're sitting, asking questions. It's just kind of the role that I'm in. Is I have to be put into a game and expect to perform right away. And I'm not, mad about that. I'm not happy to be in the game, but I just got to be able to, make shots when I'm called upon and do things right when I'm called upon, whether I've been sitting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or a whole half.
Thinking specifically of Denny here because he was rookie last year and it's precious time, right? Do guys who are closer to the rookie season as you were in the league give you more advice, or is it typically the veterans who've been around a little bit more?
No, it's typically the veterans who give me the advice. They're the ones who are kind of pointing things out for me that I might not have seen on my own. Denny's he's been more of like an encourager, cheerleader for me, just kind of always picking me up, whether I do something good or something bad. So the vets are there for advice, and Denny and I are kind of trying to, it's still tight. It's kind of his rookie year too. He spent a lot of time injured last year, so he's still figuring things out, and we're helping each other, be the best we can be for the team.
I'm not sounding sarcastic. It sounds really hard to create your own rhythm. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's hard, but so is scoring 30 points a game, and so is making 40% of your threes. Like everything in this league is hard. So you got to pick what hard things you want to try to take on for your own. So everyone has a different challenges, and as a role player and as someone that's come off the bench, that's mine.
How do you stay patient with yourself as you make this transition?
Yeah, you got to see the bigger picture, right? We're 8 games in, and we're 10% done with the year. Like, and in college, an NBA season is about 3 times as long as a college season. So I got to be able to kind of see the bigger picture and see my kind of gradual improvement, and not get too bogged down on one game or one result. Because the great thing about the league is that there's another one coming in 2 days, and you got to be able to turn the page no matter what, good or bad.
All right, Corey, let's transition to Zoom. We'll start with Neil.
Hey, Corey, I'm just curious, how much have you been able to talk with Rui or not been able to, and how have you tried to help him, through the stuff that he's working through?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be there for whatever he needs, I don't want to force any issues or, try to be, try to get in pride too much that, when I shouldn't be. I'm trying to just kind of be there for him. And if he wants to hang out, if he wants to talk, that's great. And if not, I'm sure he has a lot of resources in his corner that are really helping him. I've seen him a few times here in the practice facility, just kind of checking in, and he's been in good spirits. So, I'm happy for him making the strides that he needs to make. And I think he'll be back sooner rather than later.
And I think Chase touched on it a little bit of asking about, with Davis out, has the coaching staff asked you to do, maybe anything differently, or are they kind of just, you do your thing, what the right things are to do?
Yeah, they trust me. The coaching staff for sure trusts me, and it's all about staying ready. It's all about creating your rhythm, right? These things are, there's a lot of themes for being a player like me in the NBA. It's being ready no matter what. And I wasn't expecting to necessarily get into the game when DB went down, but all of a sudden I'm pulling my warm up off and I'm checking in. So it's just being ready to go whenever, and playing my role no matter how many minutes I get.
Thanks, Corey.
And that's all the time we have right now for Corey.
You've talked about defending points in the paint. You guys are going to have a pretty unique challenge. He's the leading correct. So what's going to be the key for you guys?
Just like every other night, you can never leave one guy on an island and think he's got the responsibility of guarding a player of that caliber. It's got to be a team effort. All 5 have to be working in concert to show a shrink, give at times an illusion of help. But we got to get in the gaps early, because otherwise you're generating 2-way stunts, which opens up the 3. His ability to get downhill, get into the paint, to your point, is unparalleled. and it's really difficult to guard. So we got to be in the right position at the start of those possessions. Otherwise, we're kind of chasing your tail.
The dynamics of your roster, you've got size at a lot of positions, but it's centering the tallest guys. Daniel Gafford is like 6'10". Your next few opponents are some of the bigger teams in the league. How do you kind of turn that into an advantage? Like, I guess going small and being remote.
Well, the biggest advantage, I think, in going downsizing would be, our mobility, versatility for 3 or 4 guys to handle, make plays, to stretch the defense out a little bit with our shooting. At times that you're at a deficit on the glass, which is, a big part of it. And it's an area, obviously, that Steven Adams excels in. But, once again, it's not on one person. It's all 5 have to get involved. Our smalls have to do a better job of, turning, finding bodies, and making sure we're not giving up free runs to the rim.
And just how's Top?
He responded relatively well. I think right now he's still listed as day-to-day. We'll see how he finishes this evening and then treats in the morning. Make a decision after shoot around.
Hey, Coach, wondering what you guys worked on in practice. What you had to clean up today?
A lot of film. I think some of the good. A lot of bad. But when you watch the film, sometimes you take the emotion out from the night before, and you realize we did do some good things. And even on the offensive end, when we got stagnant at times and we struggled to make shots, we still generated high quality looks that we didn't make. And so just so they see that we're doing the right things, keep doing it. And I think eventually we'll start making those shots, but don't get bored with it. And at times, I think you go away from it. Not from a selfish standpoint. Guys just think, all right, I got to make something happen. We're not making these open shots. It's on me to do something. And it creates a snowball effect. It goes the other way. So just stay the course, and I think we'll be okay.
All right, Coach, we'll head to Zoom if there's no more questions from the room. Oh, no, take it from the room. Sorry.
You guys do, I think, a ton about how Denny is doing on defense. How's he faring on offense?
No, he's been better. I think he's playing with a little bit more confidence. I think the defensive stuff gets him going. And a lot of credit to him. He's done a great job individually, keeping those guys in front, moving his feet, absorbing contact, playing physically without, for the most part, without fouling. And we're asking him to move around a little bit, play some 3, play some 4, and that's hard to do with the lack of practice time, lack of reps. At times it can be a little confusing. So, it is what it is right now because we're down a few bodies and, we need him to do that. So it's a challenge for him to kind of step it up a bit to catch up. But at the same time, we have to find ways to help, minimize the thinking. Just go out and play.
I think it seems like he's a little bit frustrated with his performance and converting layups. What do you and your coaches tell him in terms of how to approach just converting those opportunities, whether to dunk?
Oh, sure. I mean, that'd be nice. I think sometimes we can get in our own heads and it starts to wear on us where just play. All right, you missed a shot. All right, there's nothing you can do about it. You're not getting that look back. But I think when you start dwelling on that mistake or that instant, for him, it affects the next possession. And he can't afford to do that because it becomes possession after possession after possession. So just kind of minimizing it. Fail quickly, move on, learn from it, and think next play.
Mentioned in the post game last night that opponents are trying to get him in big roles and still trying to call him like we like to see. It's a true place. What do you advise a player who is clearly being targeted by an opposing offense?
I think he's done a terrific job. I mean, keep doing it. I mean, it's one thing if it's hurting us and, where it's a deficit or an issue we have to try and fix, but it's bode well for us. And he's done a great job of keeping those guys in front, making them take tough contested twos. So I have no problem. They want to, it's almost doing us a favor.
Wes, you said that you want to get fired up and kind of use your emotion with the team at critical point. It's strategically. You said strategically. Have you had to do that yet?
Yes and no.
When and where?
Plead the fifth. No, I think, you have to be smart with it. You can't, overreact, I think, at times, and sometimes you do have to rattle the cage a bit. It's coaching, you know. I think guys, they get it. They understand when it's going to happen and when's the right time. And I don't think it's good to always kind of come in hitting, you know, and just be forceful and everything. At times, you just have to take a step back and let them air some things out. I don't think it always has to be us. I think there are times they know the problems, and they're just looking for answers and searching for a way to fix it.
When you did have to do that, did it elicit the response you wanted?
At times it does, at times it doesn't. It's just, you know, it's kind of having a feel for reading the room. And, you know, at times guys will respond the way you think. And, you know, other times you have to find different ways to, you know, get the best out of them.
And we asked Corey about Rui because of the difference. But just to clarify, you said he's in good spirits. He said expects them back sooner rather than later. Do you have any update on that?
I don't have a timetable, but no, I would agree with that. I mean, he's been around more. He's working out, so it's good to have him in the building and be present.
What does around more mean? Just physically in the facility, or
Yeah, physically in the facility. Yeah.
Everybody's got a pet theory as to why shootings down around the night. Do you have one?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I don't think it's one thing we can point to and say that's the reason. People say it's the ball, you know, it's the rule changes. It might be a little bit of everything.
Has your starting point guard tried to, at any point since you've seen the beer, sell you on the benefits of crypto?
Not yet, but I'm willing to listen. I'm open to at least listening.
What's the word that you used last night? Brett also used this. At this juncture of the year, should you have to say that with this group, or is that almost expected?
Oh, I mean, it is expected, but if I have to use it, then we have to use it. You know, it's I think everyone to a man knows, you know, where and how we fell flat, you know, last night. So we can't dance around it. You know, that was an issue for us. Our start of the game, I thought, put us behind the 8-ball bit, where, you know, we dug ourselves a hole a bit, it allowed them to shoot to a big basket. And then when we did decide to get defense in the game, it was too late.
In terms of your depth, I mean, it was obvious at the beginning of the year, you said a lot of guys kind of look down the bench, and now it's a little bit being in question now with obviously Davis. It's good to hear about Kyle. How does that impact kind of like your game plan?
Well, we won't make any final decisions till we know exactly who we have available, but it is what it is. You know, it's got to be that next man up mentality, and we're going to ask guys to do a little bit more just to, you know, hold water. But there's nothing we can do to change that. So it's our mindset has to be we got to dig deep, find a way, and pull together.
All right, Coach, we'll head over to Zoom. We'll start with Christos.
Hello, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Before the season started, you mentioned that you were worrying about the mindset of your team. As the season goes on, what did you see about the mindset of your team, especially at this point of the season that you have first time 2 losses in a row?
Well, I think it's going to be a challenge for us. You know, it's easy when you win games, and sometimes you let things slide that you probably would address, you know, otherwise. But, you know, I think this will be a test of who we are, what we're made of. It's certainly not going to be easy given the fact that we're down a few guys, but, you know, it's certainly going to be a challenge, and we can't shy away from it because no one else cares. I don't think anyone around the league is worried about the fact that we have injuries or, you know, we're playing without a few guys. So we got to find a way. You know, the group that we have is enough, and we'll find the best combinations to make it work.
And also, how important part and how beneficial for you is to have players like Bradley, Montrezl, the experienced guys, the veteran guys in the league that that made the adjustments about your philosophy as a coach?
You know, they've been around, so I think that they have a pretty good feel. I mean, you could throw Kyle in that group, you know, Pope in that group. They've been around, so there's nothing, I don't think, strategically new for them. It's just more the terminology, what we call it. And just getting, you know, the synergy in that side of it. But they've been around long enough to know that there's certain things we do that are very similar to where they played before or how they played past seasons. It's just kind of getting the feel the teaching points and the verbiage down where we can all be on the same page.
Thank you very much.
Wayne,
Hey, Coach. Again, we always say long season. You say this may be the first bit of test of adversity coming off a 2-game skid. Can you give a sense of just the team's presence going into tomorrow's game with the Grizzlies?
Well, I hope there's better focus. It's easy to say that now after a film session, but tomorrow morning when we have a shoot around, that'll be telling. I think we'll play with a little bit more energy, more urgency, hopefully with a level of physicality. We didn't start the game with those things, and we saw it improve, but it was too late at that point. I think it's got to be our mindset going in. We're not going to ease our way into games and think we're good enough to flip the switch. We've got to come with the right mindset to start, and hopefully, that puts us in a position to have success.
And you just alluded to the film session. Were there any things last night that you liked or took away, and hopefully that would carry over to that Memphis game?
Well, offensively early, I thought we generated once again a lot of good looks, and we've struggled all season to make threes, and we're not going to dance around that. We have to find a way to aid in our own recovery. But we're creating the right type of shots, the shots that we're preaching. We got to get in the lab and find a way to make them. But I'm okay with those. If we're missing those shots and those are the right type of shots, then we'll live with it. Because I think at some point it'll go our way. When we get out of character, those are the things we want to kind of try to avoid.
Thanks as always, Coach.
and we'll finish up with Neil.
Hey, Coach, in those film sessions that you guys are having today, what kind of, truth speaks are, coming out? Like, are players, stepping up, taking responsibility? And, how do you think that bodes well for you guys moving forward?
Well, I give our guys a lot of credit. I mean, all the film sessions have been productive. Some of it is teaching, some of it's reinforcement, and some of it is just, hey, open dialogue. What do you guys see here? What do you like? What do you don't like? What don't we understand? Just to get clarity. So it's not always, well, you didn't do this or you didn't do this. I think it's a little bit of everything, and I think it's productive to have that back and forth. Because it's easy for me to stop the film and say, hey, you should be here, not here, but I'm not out there doing it. So to have a guy who's in the mix in that moment, it's a lot harder than it looks. So their feedback is warranted. So we take that into account and weigh that in as far as how we do things.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Good. Coach Unseld's talked about points in the paint, trying to get a little bit better at limiting those. You guys have a pretty unique challenge going up against Memphis. John Morant needs somebody in that category. As a big man who mans the paint, what's going to be your responsibility?
Really just protect home. That's the main thing. I really can't really just, talk about it. Just the main thing is just really just protecting home, protecting the basket as much as we can, limiting as many breakdowns on the perimeter as much as we can. Also, because if we limit the breakdowns on the perimeter, they're out stuck shooting threes instead of attacking the basket as much as they can. And also just being the back end of the defense, just protecting the basket.
How unique as a challenge has John Morant become?
I mean, he's a real dynamic player. He's came out this year and he showed people that he's capable of being in the talks of some of the top guards in the league. So we just have to come out ready because he's going to come out and play with a lot of energy. We have to come out and do the same thing.
Playing against Memphis and some of the other teams you'll face just have very big front courts, and you'll have to go up against some guys like Steven Adams. And Giannis, of course, in a little bit. What's the key to kind of turning you guys having smaller lineups, more mobile lineups into an advantage?
Really just, setting the tone with physicality. That's the main thing. Coming out, setting the tone with physicality and playing with a lot of energy, making those guys run and just playing the right basketball at the right time.
What are you happy with how you play individually, and what are some areas that you're
These last couple of games, I haven't been happy with how I've played at all. I can be a lot better for this team. So that is just my main thing on that. A lot of things that I can do better is just being better when it comes to our pick and roll scheme, talking a lot more, being a lot more vocal and being an anchor for our defense. The main thing also is just protecting the basket as well. But overall, have not been happy with how I've been playing. you know.
This question is not an actual follow-up, so I apologize, but what have you learned about Denny in the time you've been in this league?
I learned a lot. I mean, Denny is a real defensive-minded player, and, you know, he plays his role, and he does what it takes to be able to come out and help the team win. You know, that's good from a guy, you know, that's young and is trying to still, you know, figure things out, you know, but he's pretty much already got it figured out. So just the main thing is his confidence. That's the only thing that's really going to hold him back, is if his confidence is high or if his confidence is low.
He's mentioned to us that he's pretty hard on himself.
Mm.
Do you ever see that? And if you do, as one professional to another, do you get
Next play mentality. You know, everybody makes mistakes. You know, you miss a shot. There's a lot of guys in this league that are high percentage shooters. A lot of guys in this league that are high percentage finishers and everything like that. They miss shots night in, night out. You just got to be able to, you know, brush that off and be able to play throughout the game down the stretch. Because it's a long game. It's a 48-minute game. You know, we got 4 quarters, 12 minutes each. It's gonna be a long game for sure. It's gonna be a lot of times where we stop. It's gonna be a lot of times where we don't. You know, you got to keep playing the game of basketball because it's gonna leave you behind if you're stuck in your own head. That's the main thing. So I really just try to make sure he doesn't get too hard on himself to where he's like not focused on the game. Because if you get down on yourself, you're putting a lot of negative energy onto yourself, and you're going to take it out onto the floor, and it's going to mess up your game for you.
Is there such a thing, Daniel, as mental conditioning aside from when you're out and trying to get back up to speed physically? But do you feel like sometimes you need a few games to ramp up mentally?
That just depends on, you know, how you look at it. I would say it just depends on what type of person you are. You know, you can really just be. You said how like being out. That's the main thing, like injury wise.
When you're coming back, not just getting your condition back physically, but sort of mentally.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, that night in, night out, you see your team playing, and you're not out there on the floor. You see a lot of things you can do that you know want to be out there to do to help the team and stuff, and it just can really wear and tear on you. You know, you can be in a dark place, like, you know, damn, I'm not out there, or you can just be able to put yourself in a position to where you can prepare yourself to be ready to go back out there and play the way that you were playing before you got injured. That was just my main thing. I hated being out of the game. You know, I hated being out for so long. I wanted to come back after that Atlanta game. I wanted to come back and play Boston again, but my main focus was just really taking my time and not rushing the injury because I didn't want to come out and hold the team back. So it takes a lot of, you know, I would say mental processing, and it takes a lot of, I would say, just self-awareness to just be able to sit down and just say, hey, take your time. But just the mental part of it, you know, it just depends on who you are and how you go about it.
All right, we'll switch over to Zoom. Christos.
Hey, Daniel, how are you? What is the biggest challenge for you at this point of the season? You have first time 2 straight losses. What is the biggest challenge to
challenge,
bounce back? Yes.
Really just the biggest challenge is, you know, coming in and playing the basketball that we want to play. That's the main thing. You know, it's a lot of frustration throughout the team, I'm pretty sure. And we want to be better than what we played the last 2 games. So main thing is coming back and being better and making the right plays, being better on defense, so on and so forth. And just being able to come out and just play the basketball that we want to play.
And how could you describe the atmosphere or the mood in the team ahead of the game against the Grizzlies?
We want to win. That's the main thing. You know, we took a lot of time before practice to talk about the things that it takes to win. And, you know, it's upon us to just really just figure it out and adjust to certain things, you know, to be able to mentally and physically prepare ourselves for this next game.
Thank you very much.
Neil.
Hey, Daniel, I'm curious, you know, a couple games back for you now, what's your level of conditioning like?
Level of conditioning, I mean, it's good. You know, main focus was just really just getting my rest and taking my time when I got injured and stuff, and not really doing anything to where it could just really just harm me physically. Was just to come back and just stay in that mindset of, you know, I was in a good condition frame, I would say, before I got hurt. When I came back, I was a little bit gassy, but you know what I'm saying, getting back into the flow of the game, it takes time. So I really didn't want to just come out and just trying to rush it with the conditioning wise. I just wanted to take my time. So conditioning is getting a lot better from when, you know, I got hurt. You know, it was only, I would say, 3 days. I would say. But just really just, like I said, taking my time and slowly getting back into the flow of the game was one of the main focuses when it came for me coming back to the team. That's just the main thing that I would say kind of helped me out for sure.
And I know you obviously did a lot of conditioning work with Alex over the summer. Where would you say that you are, you know, now and, you know, as you get back up to 100% of what you're able to do compared to last season?
I mean, I'm good. At this point, you know, I've been back, 2 games, I would say, and conditioning has gotten a lot better because, you know, coming back that first game, I was real tired. So I just really just had to take the time out to really just get as much sleep as I could. Because I low-key was, you know, losing a bit of sleep while I was hurt, just with dealing with the mental aspect of it because I wanted to be out on the floor, so on and so forth. And just now just getting back to it, I just take my time with it.
Thanks, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
And last question to Wayne.
Hey, Daniel, you said you weren't really happy with the last 2 games you played. Coming into this Memphis game, specifically for you, what would make you feel like you had a great game?
Coming out and playing with a lot more physicality, coming out and playing and controlling the glass and really just protecting home, you know, doing the things that I'm here for instead of just trying to focus on all the stuff that is going to, I would say, happen for me throughout my career, you know, just doing the things that the coach wants me to do, go out, block shots, go out and play defense, be the anchor of the defense and have high energy, grab rebounds, you know, do a lot of dunks, do a lot of, you know, the stuff that I'm used to doing to be able to help the team.
And same thing I asked Coach, although it was a loss, and you said you weren't really happy with how you played, was it any positive from that game that you did you could take over to your next one?
I really can't say. It's probably a lot of people that saying I did a lot of stuff that, you know, was good for the team, but all in all, yeah, I sucked the last 2 games. You know, I know it was my first 2 games back, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I got to be ready to come play on the floor night in, night out. So the main thing is just be better than the next one.
Thank you, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Daniel, all set. Thank